Well, how's everybody doing today? My name is Mike, and I'm going to be changing out the blower motor in an E250 transit cargo van. It just happened to go out on me on the 4th of July, and it's 100 degrees outside. So instead of buying fireworks this year and going out and having a good time, I decided to buy the blower motor. Now, you can get these blower motors online. They're about 70 or 80 bucks. You can have them delivered. It might take a couple of days to get them. However, I'm in a hurry. I want to get shit done because it's extremely hot outside, and I'm not waiting 2 or 3 days because this is my business truck. So you can skip forward here, but at O'Reilly Auto Parts, this blower motor cost about $189 with tax and everything. It's $214. You can put it in yourself. Number one, you're going to need a 9/32 socket to get to the blower motor itself, and you're going to need a T20 Torx wrench, and you're just going to be able to unplug the plug. I'm going to go through this step by step and try to keep the video short, but what you're going to need for the job is a 9/32 socket, an extension, and a T20. One of these bolts you're going to work your ass off in getting out of there, but the rest of the job is fairly easy. Anyway, let's continue on to the E250 transit cargo van. Now, if this part of the video seems a little bit different and I look a little bit older, it's because it's a year and a half later from whenever I recorded this. I did not have a computer that was capable of doing it, and I had said in the video it was going to be a short video, but I put all of this in as one long video. Try to do a limited editing, but if you watch the video, it will teach you how to remove the blower motor and replace it in an E250 transit van. The van that I'm working on is currently it was a 2018, but I wanted to get this done. I just didn't have the damn technology to be able to upload the video. I tried it, so this video is about a year and a half late, closing in on 2 years. But enjoy. I said it's a short video, but it's not. But if you watch it, it will show you all the details and everything on how to do this. Have a good day. One more side note is getting your stuff together. Like I said, you're going to need a T20 socket, a T20 Torx socket. You're going to need a 9/32 wrench, and you're going to need a flashlight. And you're going to need a back that's in good condition because you're going to be upside down feeling for stuff. And that one bolt, you're almost going to be blind. You're just going to have to feel it out and figure out where the hell it's at to get up in there and grab it. Well, we're fixing to get started. So, flashlight, T20 socket, and a 9/32 socket. And then your little fingers, you're going to have to unplug an electric plug, plug the other one back in. Alright. As far as the flashlight goes, I prefer one of these DeWalt flashlights. If you got a DeWalt flashlight, it helps. That one guy said you don't need one, but it helps. So it helps to have a flashlight. Step number 2 is to have your van, your transit van, somewhat close to air conditioning. I'm just happen to be staying in a camper out here. I'm not going to go show the whole van, but that's basically what an E-Transit E250 cargo van looks like. And the blower motor is going to be underneath the glove box. You don't have to remove the glove box to get to it. I'll show you that here in a second. But it's going to be in the front. This is a cargo van. I hear that there's another blower motor mounted in the back of one of these vans. I would show you the back, but I've got my company sign on there, and I don't want a bunch of phone calls coming in on how to change this. I run a landscape company, but this is a good how-to video on the transit van. Now, if you're an organized individual, you will not have to remove a bunch of stuff out from underneath, but you're going to have to clean the floorboard out completely on that side. As you can see, I'm not really that organized today. I got a bunch of trash, Pepsi cans, and all that stuff in the way. So first thing to do is clean your work area. The other thing is to have the part. That's the part. We're going to take it out of the box in just a second. Alright, so have yourself a workbench. You can either have a workbench. In my case, I have an old Chet pallet here that's sitting in the grass. Possibly a snake underneath it or something like that. What you want to do is get your new blower motor. If you haven't taken the old one out, you're not going to know whether or not it's the right blower motor or not. But there are 3 bolts that hold this blower motor on. Here's your plug.
I think it's going to mount up there like this, but it's going to be upside down. This bolt right here is going to be a bitch. These two right here are going to be fairly easy. That plug's going to be fairly easy. There's a cover that you're going to have to take off. And what you're going to need is a 9/32 socket. You are going to need that 1/4 inch drive, or a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch drive reducer if you don't have a 1/4 inch drive. And you're going to need a T20 socket, or a Torx wrench. So, this is what I'm talking about here. You're going to want an extension. For those of you that don't know these parts, it's the reason why I'm going into them. So, you're going to need a socket extension. Now, you can have one of these high quality tools that have a bend in it that I've had for years, and I've torqued some pretty good wrenches. It still works. It's just a little bit bent. You can use that. You can use a snap-on. You can use any type of tool. My tools are a bit rusted. I've had them for a long time, and I didn't pay like $300 for that socket. But anyway, we'll get rid of that. So, and I just lost my socket up underneath the pallet there. I'm going to have to grab that. 9/32 T20 extension. Half-inch drive. These are 1/4 inch drives. So what do you need to get that going? Alright, so we're down here. We're fixing to use the 9/32 inch socket. And this is the passenger side of the van that you come into. I'm going to try to show you this the best way I can. I've got my flashlight down there on the ground. You're going to come in, and then you're going to look up underneath the glove box right here. Okay. So, you're going to remove this panel. And your 9/32 nuts are going to be, there's going to be 3 of them on it. And we'll try to light them up here so you can actually see them. The other videos that I've seen, you can't really see these 9/32 inch nuts. So, there's one way up in there. Okay, now so once you get it's a pretty tight situation here, but once you get those 3 bolts off the panel, and then you'll be able to see your blower motor fan. Pretty tight situation in here, but once you get the bolts off the panel, those 3 bolts that I was talking about, I'm actually holding it up right now. This is kind of how the panel's mounted up underneath. And then once you get those bolts off, it pretty much just falls off and exposes the blower motor. You had 3 bolts on there holding that in, and then there's your blower motor. If you don't have any wind coming through your air conditioning system and it's 100 degrees, although you can feel a little bit of cold air coming out, this is probably your problem in any vehicle that you drive. Every vehicle that I know of that I've ever driven has some sort of blower motor for the air conditioning system. This one right here is very easy. Unlike, I think it was a Nissan Altima, where you gotta remove the damn brake pedals and all that shit. So the E-Transit van's a lot easier than some other models. Some other models, if you're not a do-it-yourselfer, I would recommend you bring it into a shop. Like, I do believe it's the Nissan Altima. It's in the center console, and you got to remove a bunch of shit in order to get to that thing. And it's an ordeal. The engineers made that a miserable experience to change. Anybody else know any other cars that are more miserable to change? I'm pretty sure it was a Nissan Altima. The blower motor fans. Send a text message or whatever the hell you do on YouTube, and I don't even know why the hell I'm saying that. Do it if you want. You don't have to. Right now we're talking about the E-Transit van, though. So we exposed it. Now we're fixing to take the T20 and take out those 3 screws. Unplug the... we're going to unplug it. I'm trying to see, right here's the plug. We're going to take out the 3 screws and unplug it. I would recommend you probably, you can unplug it now if you want. I think we'll go ahead and do that. So this is one of these clip plugs. We might need to add most of the time you can do it by hand. You just push that little tab in, and then you pull that plug out. So now we don't have any electric going to the fan, and we're going to take out the T20s. There's one way the hell out here in the back, which is behind this piece of plastic, which is a bitch to get to, but you can get to it. You can drop this, you can drop that vent out, it looks like, and that might be the best way we're going to go. So we're going to use the 9/32, take that out, and just eliminate the vent, because the other videos that I've seen, it looks like they were working with this piece on there, and you don't necessarily need to keep this piece of plastic on, which you can't see, because so there's a little plastic vent back here. There's one bolt there. Should be able to take that down, and you can fold it down a little bit so you can get access to that back bolt. Okay, here's my T20. I don't even have a socket wrench. You can put a socket wrench. This is a half-inch drive socket wrench with an extension. I actually just take this and use it as a screwdriver. For these torque wrench, you might have to use something to break it free, and if that's necessary, I'll put the wrench on there. But I just use this system as a regular screwdriver from getting the panel off. I did. So there's 3 different screws on here, and the first one is this one right here. Or that's not it. I'm trying to look at the camera and show you, because you're underneath the floorboard. Now you're gonna have to reach up underneath here, and that T20 fits right in there just like that. And that's into that video clip, but you're gonna take all 3 of these screws out, righty-tighty. Okay, now I'm taking that 1 9/32 bolt off on the back that holds that little vent on, because it'll make it a lot easier to get to that one bolt. And whenever you're taking screws out of a vehicle, try to put them in a place where you're not going to lose them. So in this case right here, I just reach right up over the top of my head. So I'm taking these screws out from underneath the dash, and then I'm putting them in the passenger side cup holder. And this way I know that all my screws that I'm using to take out of this job, I'll have the screws to put back in, and they won't have dropped on the ground. And so I was able to pull that, so that loosens that where I can get to that other bolt. And that other bolt is going to be the bitch bolt. You're going to take your T20. And if you kind of want to know where that other bolt's at, you can always grab the other piece and give you a reference, since you're going to be blindsiding this. So here's the new fan, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up underneath there and match the plug's right there. Basically, I'm going to set it in the same position that fan is currently setting in. Notice the fan is the plug is there. The numbers on the motor are reading this way. So there's a lot of different references you can use to figure out which way is this motor going to go in. Now, I can see that on this old motor that the other torque screw is right behind this vent, way the hell back here. So it's going to be up underneath that vent. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the bolt that the engineers decided to make interesting for you. Engineers are responsible for that one bolt, is what I call it. But it's not that bad. I mean, compared to, like I said, Nissan Altima. So we're going to take this one here out. It's all the way in the back, and I'm going to try to light it up for you, but It's up in there. There it is. See that thing? It's up behind that vent. So we're gonna take our T20 and we're gonna get up there and try to get it out. One of the best things you can do is reach up in there and kind of feel for it. Okay, I'm feeling for something that can't really find. I think this vent right here. Yeah, you can fold this vent back. I don't think the dealership would do it that way, but this is my own vehicle and I don't give a fuck. Right now it's hotter than hell and I want to get it done. Okay. And I still trying to find this bolt. So this one in the back firewall is going to be, so I pretty much removed this, maybe that's it. All I know is that I'm hot. It's like 100 degrees outside right now. I'm in the shade, which is great, but it's a hot motherfucker out here. Alright, I think that's it right there. So we're going to take that one out. There's my other arm. There's my bolt. Okay, I finally found the damn thing. I don't know if you can see my finger back on it or not. It is a bitch to make in a camera. I can understand why everybody else who made a video didn't really get back there and do it, but there it is. Way the hell in the back. And I folded this plastic vent. You can fold it back. It'll bend backwards, especially when it's hot. I wouldn't recommend doing it whenever it's cold outside. You could break it, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier to get to. That's the bolt. That's the bolt that pisses people off. All right. So we got the T20 socket, and I'm fixing to get involved on that right now. So I've only been out here for just a little bit. The sun is going down, and my shirt's already getting covered in sweat. But I would rather sweat a little bit now and have cold air conditioning whenever I'm doing landscaping work than ride around in this bitch without air conditioning. A cargo van is not something you want to be riding around in the hot summertime without AC. Alright, next up. Okay, so we got that bolt out, the hard one. I went ahead and made that my second bolt instead of the last one. Typically it's always the last bolt, but I knew that one was hard and the last one will be pretty easy. So basically it looks like a triangle pattern. You got one on the firewall, one to the right, and one to the left. It's going to take a T20. You're going to need a little extension. And you can use this as though it is a screwdriver. And you can get up there and get it. You don't really necessarily need the 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch drive socket wrench on the bottom. Your car may be different. You may need to have that extra torque, but you can actually take this by hand and unscrew these bolts. You may cuss a little bit getting that bolt out. You may be like, son of a bitch. You may be like, come on, stop slipping out of my fucking hand. These are phrases that you might use, and you can kind of understand, if you've never done any mechanic work before, why mechanics have such a vocabulary. Anyway, we're going to take out the last bolt now. And then we're going to drop this old piece of shit that's not blowing and replace it with one that is blowing. The motor. So my other screw has got to be like right up over here, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is like the easiest one to get to, but this is the Torx 20, and you can see that I'm gonna plug that bitch up in there. You know, people might say something about Torx screws. I like them because they don't strip out. That's one of the reasons why I think they started using them. They have a better bite when you put these Torx wrench in them. And then righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. When you're upside down, it feels opposite, but it's still righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I'm going to start going right here with this. And I'm turning it right. So I'm turning it right, it looks like in the camera, but I'm actually turning it left. And it's loosening up. So just remember that if you want to tighten just about anything, it's going to righty-tighty. If you're turning to the right, it's going to be tightening it up. And if you're turning to the left, it's going to be loosening it up. Now, for all you professional mechanics out there that are watching this YouTube video, first of all, I got a question, why? And, you know, I'm doing this mainly for people that want to save a couple $100, not bring it to the mechanic. Now, I'm not trying to take anyone's business. I'm trying to, you know, doing a job like this right here, you're going to have a sense of satisfaction if you can do it yourself. If not, well, you're going to be pissed off and you're going to want to bring it to a mechanic. Some people can do these types of jobs and some people can't. Hopefully you'll be able to do it. So I moved that vent back, and I'm just going to kind of rotate this thing back and forth until the whole thing drops out. Sometimes it's harder to get it out than it is to get the new one in. There we go. Slide on out of that, daddy. We got something fucking jamming up there. It's normally the squirrel cage that gets all fucked up. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this harness goes to the van. So make sure you unsnap it from the little harness holders on the motor. And then this thing should just come straight down. It never does what you want it to do. It will spin that way. We'll spin it this way. This is actually real-time shit going on right here, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Finally fell out. Now the reason why that you're hot and your fan's not blowing, it's probably because of this bad boy right here. Piece of plastic. It's a $200 part. If you buy it at O'Reilly's, you can buy them online for 60 bucks if you're willing to wait ever how long it takes to ship it. Some people ship overnight, some people ship 5-6 days. But if you're not willing to wait, you're going to go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone and pay the $200 to get your damn air conditioner fixed. That's what I did. Sometimes it's worth to pay. When I was talking about the mechanics a while ago, why they're watching this video, if you don't want to go through this process, you're going to pay that extra money to the mechanic to get your air conditioner working. It's just one of those things that I don't have to, because maybe I had a decent dad that taught me a little thing about mechanics. What can you pass on to your kids? Here I am, 42, my dad's been dead for 12 years, and I'm doing the same stuff he used to do, just in a more modern car. I do know one thing you don't do. My dad one time had an old Dodge pickup truck. Fuses kept blowing in it, so he decided to replace it with a like a huge fucking bolt or nail. We were going down Peoria in Tulsa, going to the go-kart track down there. It used to be down there in the 1980s, and the whole fucking van, or it wasn't a van, it was a Dodge pickup truck. The whole fucking dash caught fire. And then I realized that he put shaving cream. I don't know why he had shaving cream in the truck, but he sprayed shaving cream over there and got that stopped. But If your fuses are blowing, they're blowing for a reason, people, so don't put something like a bolt in there, or else you're probably going to burn your car to the damn ground. Especially these more modern plastic cars. That was a Dodge pickup, so hell, even the fuse box was almost fully made of metal on that thing.
I mean, do they even make those bullet fuses anymore? I think that's probably the reason why they went to those plastic prong fuses, is because people like my dad were putting bolts and nails and shit in there and catching their cars on fire all the time. But I don't even think they put bullet fuses in cars anymore. If they do, or they don't, I don't know. Leave a comment down below and let me know.
Anyway, I'm going to start putting the new one in. Basically, what we just did was took out the blower motor. When we put the new one in, we just do everything backwards. But I'll still film it for people that don't get it. And there's nothing wrong with people that don't get it. I just want to make a fairly decent video, and it probably sucks. I mean, it's not easy to make a damn YouTube video on a how-to thing. I can tell you that right now. It definitely takes a hell of a lot more time than it should to do this repair. But somebody out there is going to want to know about an E250 transit van, how to replace the blower motor for the air conditioning system underneath the dash, and I want to make sure that video is out there. So here's the new blower motor. It was bought in the United States. It was made in Mexico. A lot of times these parts will be made in the United States. They'll ship all the parts to Mexico. They'll assemble this thing as a whole piece and then ship it back to the United States. Believe it or not, it's cheaper for the United States to send stuff to Mexico in a semi-truck and then ship it back from Mexico assembled than it is for hiring people in the United States. That's why this thing costs $200 and not $600. Continental Industries, I actually believe that's owned by Harold Hamm in Oklahoma, but I don't know if this is the same Continental. It's probably not. But Harold Hamm was the richest man, I believe, in Oklahoma up until he got divorced a few years ago, and she took half of everything that he had. But that's a common thing around the world. He's still doing very well, though. His name's Harold Hamm, if you want to look up one of the richest guys in Oklahoma. He owns Continental Industries, mainly in oil. I don't think he owns this place. Anyway, that's just a side note. Yellow dot, I have no idea what the hell they do that for. It's probably a remanufactured thing, and you know, everything's made out of plastic these days. That's your squirrel cage. And I kind of look in these squirrel cages to see if there's any, like this piece of glue that's on there. So if there's like a big piece of foam or something in there, take it out, because you don't want to put it in there and it be off balance. It needs to be somewhat balanced, or else it'll vibrate like hell and your fan blades will break and all that. I'm talking worst case scenarios, people. This probably isn't what actually is going to happen. But we're going to put the the new fan motor in, and I'm going to reverse the camera here. You see the big ass hole up there? That's where the fan motor goes. We know that when we took it out, that we took a note that the electric plug was on this side over here. So that's the way we need to put it back in. It's the same way it came out, so all the bolt holes and shit line up. The nice thing about this transit van, I mean, it's not really that uncomfortable. You can kind of sit out here on the step if you're about my height, which is about 5'9". And I barely got enough room to kind of slide my hand in there, so it's not as bad. I was on that Nissan Altima for like 6 fucking hours. Yeah, you got to remove the brake pedals. I'm pretty sure I had to remove the gas panel, and then you're just up there feeling around, hoping that you're going to get everything. Now, that one bolt that I was talking about, the hard part about this is just getting the squirrel cage. Once the squirrel cage gets in that hole, it should pop in pretty damn easy. But you have this vent back here. Yeah, it goes in a hell of a lot easier than it comes out. There we go. Now we're lined up, my plug is right there. I can kind of let it down and I can reach up and grab the first Torx. Make sure you got your tools that you need to do this job close by. Then you can reach up and you're looking for Torx or the 9/32. I happen to grab a 9/32. That bolt, I believe, goes to the little vent cap out there. And so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put one of these Torx bolts back up in this thing. And I said keep your tools handy, and that son of a bitch rolled out of sight. There it is. Now I am very sorry that I can't get you a better angle of all these bolts, but this one right here is pretty easy. That one's pretty easy to see, so I'm gonna put that. And actually, I'm actually using the camera on this phone to look up underneath while I'm making this video, so I can kind of see what the hell I'm doing, because you don't have to bend up upside down, but you are kind of doing things in a mirror fashion. But it is nice to have that set of eyes that's laying on the ground. And I got it started. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Then I'm going to take my Torx wrench and I'm going to tighten this up just a little bit. I always like to keep all my bolts loose, because if you tighten them up, you might not get that, especially when you're working in a triad pattern of bolt. Tighten them up just enough so that that third bolt, when you get it in there, will go in and you won't have to loosen everything up a little bit, because all you're doing is saving a step. Because now we're fixing to grab that bolt that's a bitch that's in there, and then I'll come back and I'll tighten up, because that other one's way the hell back here. Don't use any Loctite or any of that shit on these things. You don't need to, and I would not recommend it. So on this one right here, what we're going to try to do is find out where the hell that bolt is. So these Torx are also nice because you can put your screw on there and kind of balance it. It locks it in a little better. So then you can get up there and put it up behind, and you can probably drop it about 10-15 damn times. But you can kind of steady it up on there. Once again, this is an E250 transit van. It's a cargo van, so it doesn't have the motor in the back. I've never done the motor in the back, so you're not going to see a video from me on that one, because I don't plan on hauling that type of hazardous material around. I was a truck driver for 22 years. I taught people how to drive semi-trucks, and passengers is just something that I never wanted to haul around. So I'm going to bend this back. Now, the dealership won't do it this way, but maybe they will. I don't know. People do a bunch of strange shit in this planet, but I'm folding this back because it makes finding this bolt a hell of a lot easier. Now, I did take one bolt off that went right here so that I could fold this piece back. If it's wintertime, you're not going to be able to fold this piece of plastic. It's so fucking hot out here right now that you ain't going to have a problem folding this thing back. And that's kind of where I need to be, but that's not... so this is what I was talking about, keeping everything loose. You see how I kind of repositioned that? So that allowed me to line that last bolt up. If you tighten everything up first, and then you get to this last bolt, it may not go in. Okay, I got my torque screw in, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten this bitch. Since I got all 3 screws in, I put the hard one in last so that it would line up a little easier with the other 2. And you're kind of feeling, you're just back there feeling. You got to know where the bolt's at, and then your torque screw will just drop in. Now I'm going to edit this out because this may take a little while. We're at 7 minutes here. Because there's my bolt, okay? And I'm blind feeling this bitch. So, okay, now we're in. Now I'm tightening it up. By hand, I'm using this as a screwdriver, I don't have my 1/4 inch drive socket, but I'm using it like a screwdriver, turning it to the right, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It doesn't have to be real tight, just snug. All right, so now I've got the hard one in, okay? Now that I've got that hard one in, I'm gonna push this vent back. This little vent cover right here, I had this one hole. I'm gonna push that back on the other side of the motor and mount that up to the top. And the camera's upside down, people, so all right, so now that we're back to the 9/32 inch drive, and once again, I've got a little extension on it, and I'm using it as a screwdriver. You can put the socket wrench, 1/4 inch drive socket wrench on it if you want. I don't need to do that. You probably won't need to do that on a transit van. As long as you got enough grip, you're going to be easier doing it this way than you are with the socket wrench, because there's not a lot of room to mess with. And whenever you're dealing with vehicles, you're just not going to have a lot of room a lot of times. Or you go out and buy the correct tools, like the mechanics do. The mechanics, and see, I just dropped that bitch. Mechanics do this shit for a living, so yeah, they're going to have the proper tools. But there's a lot of stuff you can do, and if you can do it yourself, you're going to save a lot of money. And if you hear fireworks and it sounds like it's a bad day in Baghdad, it's the 4th of July. This is how I'm spending it. So I'm getting this hand tight. Now that I've got that hand tightened, we're good there. Now, I've got 2 more bolts to tighten up, these torque screws. So we're back to our T20. Now I know the camera's upside down, just remember righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There's one, and there's the other one, all right? We haven't plugged up the electric. As soon as I tighten these up, we'll plug the electric in and get it started. Now, you can see that pretty easy, but I'm actually blind feeling that and looking into my camera. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so I'm gonna be going right to tighten it up. It looks like I'm going left in the camera, but it's always righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And when you're upside down, sometimes it can get confusing. So righty-tighty, just start turning it right, and then kind of slowly go up in there, and then you'll know which way you know that's going to be tightening up the bolt. If that's how I do it still, I still get confused. So if you're upside down, start turning it right, and then as you're going up, keep turning it right, and then you'll know that when you get up to the bolt, you're going to keep going that same direction. If you're loosening, turn it to the left and put it up there. Now, everything looks opposite in the camera because I'm filming with the other lens. So now we're going to tighten up this last torque bolt, which is right here. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I waited till the sun to go down, so I think it's still in the upper 90s right now. But I'm kind of in the shade. I got my DeWalt flashlight. And I'm wrapping up this job. Okay, that's nice and snug. Last but not least, you want to make sure that you plug up your electric. If you don't plug this in, you're going to put that panel back on and you're not going to have your shit working. Electricity is very important. Now the other one had it had some holders up here. This new motor does not have the holders, but as far as hooking the electric back up, I don't know if you can see that or not, but you're going to find the plug and then you're just going to, bam, it's done. Now that's a hell of a lot better than the old days where you used to have to splice shit and use heat tape. Just everything's pretty much idiot proof nowadays. Just plug it in and unplug it. Now we got that done, we can test out the motor before we put the panel on, see if we actually got fire and this thing is blowing cold air. In this case, I'm going to take the keys here. I'm going to start the vehicle up and I'm going to turn the motor on. Now, I don't know if you can hear that or not. So now all I got to do is put the last 3 bolts on the cover on, and I've got cold air blowing out of here. I wish you could feel how good it is, but I've just been out here for maybe an hour, and this job would have been a lot quicker if I wasn't making the YouTube video, but for educational purposes, for someone out there that maybe wanting to tackle a job like this on their E250 transit cargo van, that's why I took the extra time to do it. And it would probably cost, shit, I think a mechanic would probably charge close to 500 bucks for this job. Your car may be down for the day, and the job actually only takes maybe about 30 to 45 minutes if you're good. If you're not very mechanically inclined, it may take 4 or 5 hours, but if you save 250 bucks, that's 50 bucks an hour you're putting in your pocket. So that's the reason why I did this video. I do have cold air now, so I'm going to shut the vehicle off. I'm going to put the last 3 bolts on that panel, and then I'm going to go wipe all the sweat off. I mean, when I started this, I wasn't, and I'm not a really big guy, but I'm covered in sweat right now. So, put these last 3 panels on, maybe go take a shower, and get out to my buddies. And now, me and the guys will have cold air conditioning to sit on after we're done mowing lawns. Working in the hot air isn't that big of a deal. I do it all the time, but I do like to have some cold-ass air conditioning to sit in whenever I need to take a break. And this time of year, you need to take a lot of breaks. But I'm going to put these 3 back on. I'll find the panel. The panel's right here. I'm going to put these last 3 bolts on. This job will be done. I'll have cold AC until this Mexico part breaks. Nothing bad by that. It doesn't matter if it be made in Japan. I'd say the same damn thing. You snowflakes out there, get a fucking life. Alright, so now I'm putting this back on. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to put it on with the engine running because it's nice and cold. I might actually put it on the floor. Hell yeah. I'm going to put it on floor AC. It is nice and fucking cold. May not be the best now how the fuck does that go back on there? So there's always something. What you're trying to do is it should fit in there nice, like that. Alright, then I'm going to reach up into the cup holder here and grab me one screw. Once I get the first one in, the next one shouldn't be that bad. People are starting to pop off fireworks now. It's getting a little bit closer to the nighttime. So if you're up underneath one of these things fixing it, someone launches off a loud fucking mortar shell, scare the shit out of you, make you bump your head. Most nights you wouldn't have to worry about that. But it is the 4th of July, so I'm expecting it. Alright. Bolt number 2. Should have a longer one, I think. All those are the same size. Boy, I sure wish I had this cold air blowing on my ass a while ago, but it's nice when it's working. I just dropped that son of a bitch again. See, these are little things that we don't really cuss because it's just something we do to fill in our screw-ups. Get it started just a little bit. Now, if you're much taller than I am, this is gonna fuck you up. I wouldn't see Shaquille O'Neal up underneath this bitch doing something like this, but he could. Just if you're taller than 5'8", 5'9", you're gonna struggle more than I am. Alright, I got one more bolt. We're at 19 minutes. We've been having a good time here. Now I'm going to edit this down a little bit because I've got a lot of fucking video footage that's just boring as shit. I just dropped it again. This is going to be a commonality, is dropping bolts. Oh shit. Oh, but then that thing went right up in there. So this last one you need to have kind of an extension. I don't know what the hell's going on. I guess that's a glare of the light. So you're gonna need a little bit of an extension socket to get up in there. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This is the last bolt going in. We have cold air blowing through the ignition system. Not the ignition system. Listen to my ass, I'm a dumbass. Cold air is blowing through the blower vent. Air conditioning system. That mechanic that went to school, it's making fun of my ass right now. He's out there correcting me. Everybody likes to correct somebody on this planet. That's the way the people are. But anyway, I've got cold air. We've replaced the blower motor. Blower motor's working great. Alright, so we've replaced the blower motor. I've got the new blower motor in. It's working. I'm still sweaty as hell because it's hot out here. Remember, for this job, you're going to need a 9/32 socket. I think a 7mm is equivalent to that. You can probably use that. You're going to need a T20 socket. You're going to need an extension on each one. So you get a long extension and kind of a short stubby extension. You're going to have one bolt that's going to be kind of a bitch. If you take that one bolt off and you bend that vent around the top of the motor, you are going to be able to remove that bolt a lot easier. Put all of your screws and everything in your cup up on the top so you don't lose them. And disconnect the electrical, reconnect the electrical, and you can get yourself some cold air blowing back in. Murphy's Law is your air conditioning system isn't going to go out until it's 100 fucking degrees outside. Or your heater's not going to go out until it's fucking like is below zero. This is Murphy's Law. I don't know of anyone whose air conditioners broke down next to a best friend who was a fucking master mechanic that was really wanting to work on an air conditioner that day. We really wanted to work on an air conditioner that day and just happened to have the part for free to give you. That shit ain't gonna happen. That's not the real world. Anyway, everybody have yourself a great day. This is how you replace the blower motor in an E250 Transit cargo van. Have a great day. Okay, this is the old motor for the E250 cargo van. This is the orientation in which, if it was in the van, is the way it would look. So I'm going to flip it over. This is up in the dash, up underneath the dash. Okay, you're going to have one bolt here. This bolt is going to be the bitch that I'm talking about right here. You have to take that vent and fold it back this way, and you can get to that bolt a little easier. There's one bolt, 9/32 inch bolt, you need to take out on that vent to get to that bugger right there. The other one, these two bolts right here, came out pretty easy in the cover. This is the correct orientation. I'm just going to flip this 180 degrees. So if you were looking up underneath the dash, this here is going to be, the plug is going to be closest to the door, almost pointing straight toward it. This is going to be your hard bolt to get to. It's going to be the hardest part of the job. These two, really easy. Your electric cord is going to come from underneath the dash over here, wrap around, and snap plug in. In order to take that out, there's a little pin or a little snap. Just push in on it and kind of wiggle it out. Normally when you're taking stuff out, it's going to be a little bit more difficult just because it's been inside and had time to set in. Putting shit back together actually goes in pretty easy. Anyway, that's the conclusion of this video. I hope everybody learned something. And
now, throughout this entire video, you may have noticed that I was using the word bolt instead of torque screw. Take that for what it is. Have a good day.